If you think Amazon is an online store, you're staring at the shop window. What's behind that window is older, more ruthless, and far more durable than retail. Amazon isn't retail. It's expectation architecture. You click buy now. 2 days later, a box arrives. And the product isn't what changed. You did. You spent 5 minutes on a product page. But you spent years building a habit you never agreed to. So why do you come back? How does Amazon get richer while you keep receiving the same plastic thing in the same cardboard box? And what if the product is only the bait? Ask yourself this. Who is the real customer here? And who is Amazon really selling to? On the surface, Amazon looks like a retail miracle. A global catalog, aggressive prices, near-instant shipping, but headlines and revenue hide the actual economics of the empire. Because Amazon's profit engine isn't the store. It's the infrastructure behind the store. In 2023, AWS generated the massive bulk of Amazon's operating profit. Retail is the visible facade. It's the low-margin front door. A break-even funnel designed to pull buyers and sellers into the machine that prints money. Why does that matter? Because a business that scales by selling you one transaction, a pair of headphones, a burger, a pizza delivery, is fundamentally different from a business that scales by standardizing human behavior, then monetizing the physical and digital infrastructure underneath it.
To understand this, we have to look at the 3 invisible layers of the Amazon flywheel. Layer 1, the psychology of Prime. First, expectations are the product. What does that mean in practice? Amazon Prime is heavily marketed as a shipping program. It is not. It is a psychological contract. You pay a single annual fee, and over the next 12 months, your decisions are nudged again and again by a single, powerful economic logic. I have already paid for this. Therefore, every incremental purchase I make here feels like I am getting free value. Does that sound trivial? Consider the deep psychology of the sunk cost fallacy. Once the membership is purchased, your resistance to clicking buy drops to near zero. You stop checking competitor websites. You stop comparing prices across the internet because the mental friction of creating a new account and paying for shipping elsewhere outweighs a slight price difference. Prime members buy more frequently, they click faster, they try new categories, and they tolerate friction that competitors simply cannot survive. That membership is prepaid loyalty. It fundamentally reduces the cost of acquiring a customer because the customer has already economically committed to staying. Amazon doesn't just sell you a product. It sells you the condition in which products are bought with zero thought. But psychology is only the top of the funnel. To capture the real value, you need the second layer. Layer 2, the fulfillment trap, physical infrastructure. If Prime guarantees the demand, fulfillment by Amazon, known as FBA, captures the supply. Millions of third-party sellers make up more than half of everything sold on Amazon. But how does Amazon extract margin from them? Through the illusion of choice. If you are a merchant, you want access to the most lucrative buyers on the internet, the Prime members. But to get the coveted Prime badge on your product listing, you generally must use Amazon's physical warehouses, Amazon's packing robots, and Amazon's delivery trucks. This is where the model transitions from retail to tenant arbitrage, a concept very similar to another empire we've discussed. Amazon has built billions of dollars worth of physical infrastructure. Massive fulfillment centers located strategically outside every major population cluster on Earth. They then rent shelf space inside those warehouses to third-party sellers. Sellers pay storage fees. They pay fulfillment fees. They pay shipping fees. If their inventory sits too long, they pay long-term storage penalties. The seller takes the inventory risk, the manufacturing risk, and the marketing risk. Amazon takes a guaranteed cut of the logistics. It is physical infrastructure as a service. A competitor could easily copy a website, but replicating a localized, automated, global logistics network requires burning tens of billions of dollars of capital for a decade. The density of Amazon's warehouses lowers the cost per package. Lower cost funds faster shipping. Faster shipping increases consumer demand. Increased demand forces more sellers to use FBA. It is a gravitational pull. Once a seller enters the orbit of FBA, the switching costs become impossibly high. Moving inventory out of an Amazon warehouse to an independent fulfillment center is a logistical nightmare. The physical lock-in is absolute. Layer 3, AWS, the digital tax. But physical infrastructure is expensive. It requires concrete, robots, trucks, and millions of human workers. To fund this massive physical footprint, Amazon relies on the third layer. The most brilliant pivot in modern business history, Amazon Web Services. For many consumers, the cloud is an abstract concept. For Amazon, it is the machine that pays for the rest of the empire. In the early 2000s, Amazon was struggling to scale its own internal software architecture. They had to build standardized computing primitives, servers, storage, databases, just to keep their own retail store from crashing. Then they realized something terrifyingly powerful. The exact same computing capacity they built for internal use could be rented out to the rest of the world. AWS sells server space, storage, and managed digital services to startups, governments, and Fortune 500 enterprises. It is a recurring, astronomically high-margin business. It is predictable cash flow. Why build low-margin warehouses and logistics networks? Because the company can allocate capital from its high-margin enterprise operations, AWS, to fund its aggressive consumer acquisition, retail. Which side pays for which? The cloud pays for a massive portion of the visible cost of consumer convenience. And just like FBA, AWS relies on massive switching costs. Developers build systems explicitly on top of AWS APIs. Enterprises sign multi-year agreements with service-level agreements. Those relationships are incredibly sticky. If you're a software engineer, moving an entire tech stack to a competitor isn't just a simple procurement decision. It is an organizational migration. It requires code rewrites, team retraining, and months of operational risk. That is practical lock-in. The hidden fourth layer, monetizing the shelf. There is one final piece to this puzzle that most people miss. Advertising. When you search for a product on Amazon, the top results are no longer just the most relevant or the best reviewed items. They are sponsored. They are paid placements. Amazon has quietly become the third largest digital advertising platform in the world, sitting right behind Google and Meta. But unlike Google, where you might be searching for information, when you search on Amazon, you already have your credit card in hand. You have absolute purchasing intent. Sellers are forced to buy ads just to appear on the first page of search results for their own product categories. First, sellers pay Amazon to store the product, FBA. Then they pay a percentage fee when the product sells. Finally, they pay Amazon an advertising fee just to make sure the customer sees the product. Retail acquires the consumer. FBA extracts rent from the seller's physical goods. Advertising extracts rent from the seller's visibility. And AWS extracts rent from the digital infrastructure of the internet itself. This is intentional architecture. You obtain revenue at every single end of the chain, and you can reallocate capital aggressively between them. The fault lines. So what are the vulnerabilities? Does this make Amazon invincible? No. Every architecture has fault lines. First, regulatory pressure. When a single company controls the marketplace, the physical logistics, and the digital infrastructure, antitrust questions arise. Regulators ask whether a company that acts as the referee, setting the rules of the marketplace, should also be allowed to play in the game, selling their own Amazon Basics products against third-party sellers. Second, psychological fatigue. If Prime's perceived value erodes, if delivery reliability slips from 2 days to 4 days, or if membership costs outrun the perceived benefit, the behavioral lever weakens. When habits break, the top of the funnel collapses. Third, paradigm shifts in computing. The era that rewarded massive centralized data centers could evolve. If developers find new hardware-agnostic abstractions, or if edge computing decentralizes the internet, the extreme lock-in effect of AWS could soften. But such changes are remarkably slow. Infrastructure compounds over years. The global network of warehouses, robotics, and cloud engines does not vanish overnight. It is too expensive to reproduce. What should you do with this insight? If you're an entrepreneur, design for invisible leverage. Standalone products are temporary. Interfaces that reduce friction for many users are durable. Ask yourself, can I be the platform that others build on? Can I create prepaid habits that make customers return automatically? Are you selling a single product, or are you engineering a behavior that produces recurring rent? If you're an investor, distinguish visible revenue from embedded leverage. Is the company selling one-off transactions, or are they building a set of structural interactions that create recurring tolls across the entire industry? Platforms that capture both consumer attention and developer infrastructure deserve a completely different valuation lens than a simple retailer. If you're a worker, elevate your skill set above the layers that can be commoditized. Don't only learn specific coding libraries. Understand system design, orchestration, and economic interfaces. If everyone knows the same framework, your edge disappears. If you understand where coordination and friction live within an industry, you stay permanently relevant. The bigger picture. Before we close, notice that this pattern repeats. NVIDIA built developer lock-in through CUDA, making their chips indispensable. McDonald's built landlord leverage through franchise real estate, masking a property empire behind hamburgers. In each case, the durable advantage was not the highly visible product on the surface. It was the standardized, structural interface that others were forced to adopt, and which the company then quietly monetized. From railroad barons who controlled the physical tracks, to telecom firms that standardized communication protocols, the quiet work of creating and enforcing infrastructure standards always becomes the source of disproportionate wealth. Who is building the standards now? Who is quietly laying the foundation stones that will look absolutely obvious a decade from now? Which interface are you implicitly investing your time around? Your employer's tools, your customers' habits, or your industry's default platforms? Think about that the next time you click buy now. Stay aware. Stay curious. Stay kind. Source: 1 Amazon Annual Reports and Shareholder Letters, 1997 to 2024. 2 AWS Financial Disclosures and Segment Reporting. 3 Academic Research on Two-Sided Platform Economics. This content is for educational and analytical purposes only. It is not financial advice. Amazon secretly sells products on eBay, Walmart, and Rakuten through a hidden division called Big River Services International to collect competitor pricing and logistics data. If Amazon's real product is expectation and infrastructure, do you think other platforms are secretly doing the same under different names? Or is Amazon's combination unique? Let me know in the comments below.